Good morning, everyone. It's so great to be here with all of you, as always, this Friday morning at Namaste Lake Chapala. And wherever you are, grace is flooding and flowing. And if we but allow, it will wash clean everything, just like a great flood. It lifts everything, it rises, the water rises, and everything that is not true and real and solid gets washed away. And that may sound a bit challenging or even violent. And it's only violent in terms of the transformation of our minds as we cling to and hold on to that which we think has value, instead of just opening up and allowing. And today's message is going to be similar to that. It's going to be a challenge for us just to open and to allow this message to be shared and believed, to just sit with it and to allow it to take us where it needs to take us. It may be very challenging because it's what we don't want to believe. And yet it is true, I believe, I know, because I've seen the truth in my own life. And our willingness to just be present with this truth and to look deeper so we can see beneath the surface of the beliefs that we use to manifest the world that we see all around us, if we're willing just to hold still and look at this first and primary belief, then we can begin to make real and true progress. So that is what we're going to be doing here today. And I want to share the lesson from the impersonal life that just came through a few minutes ago. And even as I was, scribing this lesson, part of my mind was thinking, oh boy, here we go. This is going to be a wonderful and very deeply challenging lesson for all of us. So I can see Baraka just, he's ready, and I hope you all are ready. So let's dive right in. Here we go. You have convinced yourself that the primary goal of your life is to experience the fullness of God's love. That's what you've convinced yourself of. You believe that you've focused all of your energy on remembering that you are one with God. You believe that you focused all of your energy, everything, on remembering that you're one with God. Is that correct? Is that what you believe? Can you honestly claim that this is the only goal of your life, your single focus? I promise you that it's not true, though you desperately want to believe it is. I also promise that your willingness to look honestly at this strange dilemma is the first step toward making the experience of God's love your only true goal. Here we go. God is not the first thing you want, but the last, the very last. Your greatest terror is of redemption, not crucifixion. And I know what you're thinking right now. You want to close this book and throw it away. It's easier to deny this and claim it's not true than look beneath the ego's dark foundation and see how it hides your fear of the love that can set you free. You're afraid because remembering the one who loves you without conditions means you must do the same, love without conditions. And this requires that you release every belief in sin that has ever crossed your mind. And who would you be if you did release those beliefs? You would be who you've always been, shining in a light the world can never see. And this will not do. Such a vision challenges everything that you've created here. It collapses under the weight of such a vision of grace. But together, we will look honestly at this belief, and together we will release it. The memory of heaven will instantly restore you to your right mind, the mind that knows it is whole and sees wholeness everywhere. The time has come to lift the veil off your greatest and only fear, the fear of love itself. If you're willing to look at this with me, I promise it will fade before your eyes like the mist in morning. So there you have it. God is not the first thing you want, but the last. I hope that that stirs something in you. It's going to either stir a feeling of, yes, I've suspected this all along, or get the hell away from me. You don't know what you're talking about. Either way, as long as it's stirring something in you to look at, it's doing its job. Because looking at this, looking at the foundational fear of love itself, is what will begin to dissolve it. It's the not looking at it where all the trouble is. Not being willing to consider the possibility that God or love is not the first thing you want, but the very last, that you've been hiding from it every moment of your life. Why? Because there is some foundational sense of guilt within each one of us. That's what landed us here, in perception, in the split mind, in the belief that I can do this on my own. A foundational feeling of guilt that comes from God knows where. And when I say God knows where, I mean that literally. You don't know where. I don't know where. We've forgotten. In fact, it's better to forget. It's better not to look at that, because if we look at it honestly, we'll see that there's nothing to feel guilty about. If we look at it honestly, we release it instantly. But being ignorant and pushing it underneath the blankets of our consciousness means that we can feel the effect and the impact of that guilt, but never have to look at it honestly. All I'm saying is it's time to look at it honestly. It's time to know that the thing that you're most afraid of is the last thing to be afraid of, because it is the very foundation of everything, of love. But as long as we make believe that God or love is the first thing that we want, then we're just denying that foundational feeling of guilt, rather than picking it up the covers, looking beneath them, looking at that nothing, and releasing it. We release it through forgiveness. Forgiveness first of myself, and then of everyone that I see. And then the forgiveness of everyone that I see automatically comes back and once again washes through me. But we have to look at it. So once again, whatever you're feeling, I hope you're feeling something. It's going to be either that sense of, yes, this is it. This is it. Or you're going to say, screw it, this is ridiculous. I'm not afraid of God. I'm not afraid of love. Oh, okay. Okay, then why are you here? Why are you here in this insane asylum? This is a good thing to look at. It doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're finally waking up. And this is the first step to the awakening. Be willing to look at what you've created or what you've denied honestly, and then let it go. You can't let it go until you look at it. But the moment you're willing to look at it and then let God dissolve everything, let love dissolve that ridiculous idea or belief in guilt that you did something that you need to be punished for, then you'll no longer be hiding. You'll no longer be trying to run away. Then literally God will be the first thing you want. Love will be the only goal. But it won't be tainted by that guilty little idea that's been hiding in your consciousness. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say today. Now let's see, hold on, let's see if, I don't know if Vicky's here or not. I didn't see her here before. Vicky, are you here by any chance? I didn't check my messages. She usually lets me know if she's not going to be here, but I don't see she is. I'm going to, as you know, sometimes I feel this sparkle, this draw, and I'm going to call on Brother Baraka because I'm feeling his energy right now. So Baraka, what does this inspire within you? Is it something you want to reject completely, or is it something you want to say just, oh, okay, finally, I'm going to do this?
Well, is it possible to stand on the tightrope between the two?
You can try.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Baraka, you're breaking up.
Right. I can. My ego mind loves the idea of being able to proclaim that I can do this, that I can accept this, that I can be this. But in truth, it far from it.
Right.
Far from it. The more I can proclaim that to the world, the more I have something to hide behind
Yeah.
when I'm not doing it. So, um, I have to be truthful and say that I'm not ready for that, because if I was, I don't think we mighty companions, the illusion, would be sitting here doing this right now. But I can aim towards it,
Yeah.
and there are many tools that have to help do that, move in that direction. And like you said, this is just the idea of thinking about this is the first step. If I didn't want to take that first step, in truth, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be sitting in this room in front of this computer doing this, because there would be no point. And I'm tired of doing things that don't have a point. I'm tired of not having a true purpose in my life. And the only true purpose that I can think of is to wholly accept the idea that I am the perfectly created child of God. I am as God created me. As you said yesterday, it says over and over and over again in the course, I am as God created me. It keeps saying that over again, over again, over again. And just the repetition of that coming into my head, it bores a little deeper each time. It goes down in a little deeper, and I start to surrender to that idea. And so what we are here is, we are here not to fight against something, not to be against something, not to change something, but simply to accept something. And that I constantly ask the universe to present me with great teachers who will allow me to make that decision over and over and over again. Um, a lot of beautiful voices I hear come to me uh, talking about stuff like this. Your book, which, oh, Jimmy, I'm loving. And I noticed the message this morning is the first time it is mentioned the book.
Yeah.
Throw the book away. No, it, the the firmness of that idea is so locked into me now that it is my next step, my next decision, my next participation in the acceptance of grace.
Hmm. Yeah. Beautifully put. Thank you, brother. Yeah. That's it. You know, a lot of us are going to hear this lesson. I shouldn't say a lot of us because there's only me here. The only one that needs to get this is me. You know, the idea that I'm here to teach anybody else or to help anybody else get this is the fallacy. That's the stumbling block. We need to make this very personal. I'm the one that needs this. I'm the one that's not choosing to accept love completely. I'm the one that is hiding that little guilty idea. And even when I hear a message like this of such simplicity and clarity and also so challenging, the first impulse that I feel is to use that to amplify the guilt. Oh, damn it. I thought that God was the only thing I wanted. Now you're telling me it's the last thing I want? Damn it. See, I'm even more guilty than I thought. No, no, the opposite. This is the undoing of guilt. If you're willing to look at this and to realize that that little impish thing, idea, thought, that's been the only thing that has kept you from realizing the love that you are, and you're willing to expose it to the light because it needs to hide in the shadow in order to not be seen. It needs to hide under the blankets so that you don't realize it's there. The moment you do throw off the blankets and let the light hit it, it's kind of like the witch in The Wizard of Oz getting hit with water. It's just, I'm melting. And so don't use this message as a way to amplify guilt. Use it as a way to just simply to take the blankets off. But you can't do that if you resist the idea. If you say, "No, I'm not," then you're like the little munchkin. I'm feeling silly. It must be Friday. I'm seeing this vision of little munchkin guys. I live in Michigan. Like, no, I'm not afraid of God. Oh, okay. All right. I'm not going to try and convince you. I'm just going to invite you to look at that more deeply. And ultimately to realize that if you, I mentioned the insane asylum before. You know, to me, that's one of the best analogies. And if you're really honest, all you need to do is put on the news and you'll see that's exactly what it is. You know, it's an insane asylum or a crazy prison. And if you're willing to really look at that and take full responsibility for it, then the light can begin to penetrate. And you can finally begin to see that the door is right there. All you need to do is step through it. But it begins by realizing that I'm afraid of love because I am that. Okay, I'm going to be quiet now and see if there's anybody else here who would like to share anything. Yes, Linda, go right ahead.
Well, I would just like to add, I'm like Baraka. I'm kind of like both sides. There's a part of me that wants to say, yeah, I want to love God. I love God. I absolutely love God. But my evidence is I have created so many diseases in my body telling me that I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy, you know, and all this guilt and shame. And so I have positive evidence that I really don't love God. I'm afraid of God. I'm afraid of the power of God that's within me. And so there's this little struggle going with me. So I'm so glad that you brought this up. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I can admit that I am afraid of God. I am afraid of the power of my being. And I have the physical proof to prove it. And it's letting that go and it's allowing to be. And it's that exploration and that kind of brings that adventure. It's like right now, I mean, I know I've been asking, all I want to do is I want to be restored to my original state of being. I have no idea what that really is, but that's what I sense within me. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if I really did believe it, I don't think I would have any disease in my being, and I would be more adept at letting life be life and just going with the flow. And I know I'm on the right path because I do feel peace. I do feel joy, even with all the chaos and all the horrendous things that are going on in the world. So I'm just going to keep taking one step at a time, and it is just and it reminds me of that scene in The Matrix where Neo dives into Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith all of a sudden just lights up, you know, in an explosion. I think that's what we're doing. We're the light going into the dark to explode it out.
That's
That's
beautiful.
my 2 cents.
That's beautiful. I think that was more like 4 cents. That was pretty good.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's a
James
story.
Barak, James Baraka. There's a few of us are wondering which one of James's books was Baraka referring to.
Basically the one that you hear every morning, the one that I'm writing. He's referring to the impersonal light, which is the collection of all of these lessons that I'm sharing here in the morning. So
Thank you.
you guys get to hear it before it ever comes out. Yeah. So
It's
I
near
was
you.
yeah. I was thinking as you were talking, Linda, there's a story that I can tell that I've told many times before because it's one of my favorite stories. So many of you may have heard it. I know Barack has heard it because he's traveled with me, and but it really helps us to understand this in a real concrete way. So it's not just a theory. And this is the story of my daughter when she was about the age of my granddaughter, maybe a little bit younger, maybe 4. And it was around Christmas time. And she, of course, had been talking about going to see Santa and was so excited to go tell Santa everything that she wanted for Christmas. And one morning, a friend of mine who managed this little department store in Chicago, she called me up and asked if I'd be willing to come and play Santa that day because the guy who was supposed to be dressing up as Santa was ill. I said, of course, I would love to do that. And I called up Linda and said, bring Angela here because won't it be fun for her to come to me as Santa? We can have pictures taken and look back on it years later. So there I am, sitting there in my Santa outfit. And as I said before, Angela, all she could talk about is when she goes to see Santa. And I'm sitting in a place where I can see the front door. And I see Angela and Linda walk in. So I stand up, and in my loudest Santa Claus voice, I said, ho, 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 hello, Angela. And she freaked out. She started screaming at the top of her lungs, grabbed hold of her mother's waist, planted her head in her stomach, and was not going to come a step closer to this guy who had just broken down all of the illusions that she had in her mind by calling her name. She was willing to entertain all these wonderful ideas that Santa's watching me and he knows if I've done something good. But the moment he called her name, it became real. It became real. And the guilt, oh, if he's been watching me, he knows the other stuff too, surfaced. And every time Linda tried to take a step closer, she'd scream all the louder, and everybody's looking to see what's happening to this poor kid. So then I did something that psychologically may or may not have been the best thing to do, but she couldn't see me coming, and I walked over to her and I got down on my knees right in front of her. And when she looked and realized Santa Claus was right there, I thought she almost lost her mind. But I just tried to get her to look at me for an instant, just for an instant. And when she finally did, I pulled down the beard and I said, Angela, it's just Daddy. And I could see by the look in her face, like everything, there was this seismic shift in her brain. Yeah, like exactly. Her brain blew up. But then she just relaxed. It's like, oh, okay. I don't get what's happening here, but this is Daddy. Daddy loves me. There's nothing for me to be afraid of. And she was okay. So, what does that mean? I mean, many of us have even been raised with a Santa Claus type image of God, this old white man with a long white beard writing down our sins. As crazy as that is, that's in many of us. That's somewhere inside there. This judgmental, fearful old white man who is writing down our sins. But it couldn't be further from the truth. It's just Daddy. And it's only when we're willing to look, it's only when we're willing to really open our eyes to that one who's right in front of us that the beard can come down. And we realize it's just Daddy. There's nothing to be afraid of. So what I'm saying to you basically in this lesson is if there's a part of you that says this is not true, God's the first thing I want, I'm sticking with my guns here, okay, go ahead. But I promise you that the fact that you're here, the fact that you're still going through this is the proof that there's still hiding beneath those covers that little impish fear and guilt that needs to be uncovered. And if you're willing to allow it to be uncovered, I promise you, the beard will come down and you'll realize it's just Daddy. All right. Anybody else want to share anything quickly before we head over to Namaste? Oh, I love the picture behind you, Baraka. Is, someone's exposing himself to God is what it looks like. All right. Let's go ahead and go to Namaste. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you guys. Good morning, everybody on the other side of the wall. Good to see you. Who would like to share anything at all? Yes, Janet. Why don't you come a little closer so we can hear you?
Let me just grab this little chair.
Perfect.
Okay, deep breath. Okay, so for some reason it seems that we have one mind today, Jimmy. Your lesson today was so on point with me as I peek out of the covers. Grace has been flowing through me now since I've returned with such power and such momentum that I've almost lost my balance trying to deal with it all. Start my vision of opening an orphanage / school for the children in San Pedro. And I knew from the very beginning when I first came back that despite giving this vision earlier when I was home, that I did not have the ability to do anything of the sort at all. And the only thing I do know how to do is to love and to nurture and to teach. And that's it. As far as everything else goes, I'm clueless. And as I've been given this, I honestly felt like Moses in the desert, just stuttering away, not having any clue how to even begin all this. But with the grace and the power of God coming through, everything's just unfolding without my help at all. I am the tool, I am the willingness. And yesterday I was given the go-ahead by the village and by the social worker. They even have a plot of land that they're considering. So I just need everyone here to keep me in their prayers and to help me stay strong and faithful, to make sure that I don't doubt the power of God, which is very overwhelming sometimes and very awesome. It's so humbling. I don't know how to put it into words, really. So yeah, this lesson today was absolutely meant for my ears and my heart to know that now that the Holy Spirit has come through in my right mind and has joined with my heart, there's no stopping it because this is God's plan and I'm so happy to be a part of it. So please, everyone, keep me in your prayers and all the children there at San Pedro. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janet.